I don't know if you've seen the title, Changing Your Life by Trying Things. This is the main idea. If we can change our lives by messing around with stuff and trying stuff. And my name is Jakub Ciosłowski. You can find me on GitHub with -Jakub C, and I write about things on jkbc.io/notes, which is just disorganized chain of stuff I've been thinking about. If you're interested, feel free to check these out. Otherwise, dear people, the plan for today. We're going through the hello session. That's going to be about me, but I hope there's going to be also a little bit about you. So it's like, going to have a talk instead of just one way. What's it called? Broadcast. Then I'm going to ask you the ultimate question. And this is going to be a deep one, but I think it's going to be fun. Then we're going to create your own adventure. And this is where the forms kick in. So this is where we're going to use the form and the discovery plan, because this is where we're going to do a plan, make a plan for adventure of your life. Then we're going to have the chat with other students. This is the breakout room session where we're going to just compare your results of what you want to try, what you don't want to try. And then we're going to say wrap up and say goodbye. Any questions to the agenda? All right. Yeah. Sorry?
I have no questions.
Perfect. Thank you, Simon, for also saying that, because people usually, if they don't have any questions, they just keep silent. So I also appreciate that people are good. The promise. So why the hell should you even pay attention and look into this and listen to me? By the end of the lecture, you'll set on the path that will help you learn something about yourselves. But this is the offer. This is why you should stick around. If that resonates with you, stick around. It's going to be a fun ride. My humble self. Who the hell is even talking to you? And where did this guy come from? My name is Jakub. Hello, everybody. I live in Denmark. Actually, I've been living there for quite some time, and I'm going to spare the story of my life, so you are not going to fall asleep. Fun fact, though, about me, this is me, this is the first programming language I tried, and this is so cool. This is QBasic, and I'm not that old to actually remember when it was released, but this was introduction to programming, and I found this awesome. And the interface, this GUI was really, really cool. I don't know if you ever tried any kind of basic like language, but this is just, when you were 7 or 8 or whatever, it's just like mind blown. So I like it. I studied something called mediology. I have a bachelor in computer science, but I decided to do my master's degree in doing mediology in Copenhagen, Denmark. And you might think it's some kind of learning about journalism or media. Not really. It's some kind of computer science on steroids. So you basically mix programming with psychology, immersive environments, 3D, audio, video, and all that. And if you're thinking about different choices you can do in life, write down mediology. Maybe this is something you want to continue after your bachelor thesis. At the moment, I work in a beautiful company called Danfoss. This is a Danish company, engineering company. We're doing mainly stuff for other businesses, so you might not have heard of us. But there I am, and so I used to be a software architect. Now I am a Scrum Master and an Agile Coach. And you might know Danfoss if you go home and look over thermostats. Check your thermostats, people. You might know this. Fun fact, this makes only 1% of our revenue. So this is not a very important product, but the most iconic, so to speak, at least in Poland. And in many, many houses, which is pretty fun to see. I love the slogan of my company, or the company I work for. We engineer tomorrow to build a better future, because we are an engineering company. What I'm doing exactly in Danfoss, well, one thing that I need to say is we're 40,000 people on all continents. And because of that, I managed to see the factories in Japan, China, India, Slovenia, and Poland. But at this particular moment, I'm working in a team that helps supermarkets. And you might think, boring, this is just refrigerator. Yes, but It is an awesome stack of everything from embedded programming, so C-like applications on actual controllers of your refrigerators, through IoT, connecting refrigerators together, some dashboards with web programming and data science on top of that. So we have a pretty interesting stack, and we all do it for the sake of sustainability and energy efficiency, which I think is really cool. I think that I'm adding maybe a little tiny brick to make this planet a little bit better place using some kind of technology. So I like that. So this is about Danfoss. We also do smart buildings, so buildings that's supposed to save energy in a big picture. So it's again data science, a lot of IoT, but a lot of web programming as well. So yeah, Danfoss, that is the company I work for, if you ever wonder. And I bring you the offer, people. This is the stuff that you might be interested in. And this is where the action plan comes into play. So I'm an Agile coach. So one of the competencies that I have and do is personal coaching. And think of it as me not training you to become a better programmer, but me helping you think how to become a better programmer. And if you're interested in growing as a person, we can definitely talk. Again, this is a free of charge offer for the sake of education and making the world a better place. If there's going to be an interest from anybody, just mark it in your adventure plan. If you are interested in personal coaching, and we can actually have a couple of sessions. But it's on you, people. It's you doing the thinking. I'm just helping you. If there's a lot of interest, we can also have a group work. So I can facilitate some kind of meetings where we can actually compare and see where are we when it comes to becoming better and smarter. At the top, if I see that somebody's like really fired up, like for real, I can also offer a project with Danfoss, so this beautiful company of 40,000 people. And that could be anything. I can get you an interview with a person that works on any particular project, and you can ask questions what they do and so on and so forth, just to learn stuff. But also if you want to provide value, we can definitely arrange something where we can collaborate and build something together. So keep that in mind, ping me. This is a great way to actually get some real life experience. This is my offer: coaching, facilitation, and the project with Danfoss. Okay. I had this slide that you should raise a hand if you'd like to speak, but there's not that many people, so I think we can also just fire at will, basically. So if you have a question, just speak up. And I just want to make sure that you have your microphones open and at ready. So I'd like to hear from a couple of people, like, what was the first programming language you tried? Anybody?
For me personally, it was Pascal.
Oh yeah, nice one.
For me,
anybody else?
C. For me, it was C, and I very quickly bounced back from C
to
JS. It was much more pleasant journey from there on.
Shout outs to JavaScript community. Yes. Anybody else?
C++.
Okay, nice one. Nice one. Close to the metal.
C++ too.
Sweet. Hubert, thanks for that. Any other stories, people? C#? Sorry. Go on.
For me, it was Python.
Okay, nice one. Thanks, Piotr. Yeah, so we have the full picture: C, C++, Python, JavaScript, Pascal. That's old school. Good stuff. They had procedure instead of functions, I think. Fun stuff, indeed. Do you have any C# people? I'm not a C# person.
I have coded before in C# when I was working in Unity on a game, but it wasn't my first language or anything. So.
All right, and we also have Jack. Hi, Jack. You're raising your hand. Yeah.
Yeah, I played C# once, and it's pretty good, but I never came back to it.
And do we have anybody that tried functional programming?
Yeah, I tried Haskell.
Oh yeah, shout outs to Haskell people. I'm gonna touch upon a little bit of functional programming later on, when we're gonna talk about niche programming languages. People, thank you for saying that. I do appreciate it. So we all have a story to tell about the technology. And speaking of that, we're gonna create our own adventure, dear people, during this talk. Adventure of your lives. And again, I'm not gonna do a single thing to make it happen for you. I can only guide you. You need to do the work, but I can definitely make a map with you. And this is what we're gonna do. I want to present you possibilities. I want to show you things, and your job will be decide if you want to jump on them and try them out or not. But every good adventure starts with crossing the portal. We need to open the door, people, for real. So the question is, who wants to open the door? Or should we open the door? Hubert, are you the one to open the door? Should I open the door on your behalf?
Yes. Sure.
Okay, let's do it. Just like, fasten your seatbelts because we are in space, people. It's nothing. It is a void. It's just empty. And why am I bringing the space metaphor here? Because I have a question and I thought I'm going to have a chat at my disposal to do it, but then you'll need to tell me the answers if you type them into the chat. Use the chat though. What do you know what are you gonna do when you graduate? That is the ultimate question. Do you know what are you going to do when you graduate? If you hit the chat button and type the answer in the chat and send it, then I will much appreciate it, because then you're also going to see other people's answers, and then you can tell me what the answers are. I'm going to give you a whole 10 seconds to go to the chat and type yes, like in a good, terminal prompt. So Y for yes and N for no. Okay, can somebody relay or tell me what the results in the chat are? If there was anybody who actually was willing to share the answer?
So I see quite a few people answering actually, and most of the answers seem to be no, but there are some answers that people seem fairly certain what they want to do.
Thanks, Shimon, for being the additional pair of eyes for me. Hubert, do you want to add something?
No, I didn't.
Okay. That was just your microphone.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Sweet. Okay, for the ones that made your mind, that might be still interesting. For the ones that did not make your minds at all, that would be my offer, people, because why I did use this metaphor of space, emptiness, just nothing, because that might be a good metaphor of starting something like your career, your life, your exploration of a given subject. And there are some heuristics to help you navigate life, basically, right? There are many, but I like one in particular that I want to show you, and then I have an exercise for you. You can categorize things around you into a category of known knowns. Things you know, things you are certain about, like JavaScript. If you're a JavaScript programmer, you know the language, you can build things with it with certain amount of certainty. You can say, yes, I can build this web service. It's fine. You got it under control. This is your toolbox. So far, so good. Any question to known knowns? Known unknowns. Now we're getting a little bit further away from the comfortable place that you are at with something you know. So things you know that you don't know. These are your plans, opportunities, but also if we stick to the programming metaphor, it's AI, machine learning, deep learning, whatnot. You've heard the term, you have no idea what it is and how it works. For example, maybe you know, but I don't. but you know where to start your search. You know where to kind of, explore the territory. You know where, that it exists, and for example, that you can take a course to learn it, right? So this is still something that you are aware of. The last one, that is the most fun one, is actually unknown unknowns, things that you did not even know it existed. And I have actually as an example for you. I actually Googled thing, even though I don't use Google, but I searched for a thing called obscure programming jobs. And you know what I found? Combat designer. It's a job that designs combat scenarios for first-person shooters. Did you know that it existed? I didn't. So this is a perfect example of unknown. We didn't know that you can design combat scenarios. It's a job. But now, from unknown unknowns, it was brought to our known unknowns. So we are aware that we don't know what a combat designer does, so to speak. Is this clear? Do you have any questions to those categories? All right, let's move on, because now it's a question time. This is a screenshot from a game called Free Civ, which is a clone of Civilization, I think, open source, some kind of whatever. I never played it, but it does illustrate an interesting concept. Who has played any kind of real-time strategy games or turn-based strategy games? Yes, good. Szymon, Hubert, Anton, Kamil, perfect. So we have some gamers. Piotr, thanks. Mateusz. Okay, we've got gamers. They just had to wake up and just find the hand button. People, fog of war. Does this term ring a bell? Do you know what a fog of war is? Okay, Rafael is nodding, so this is a good indicator. You might have heard of fog of war, and well, let's illustrate it. On this picture here, you can see three categories of fields or tiles. One that is very light, like sun was shining on it. Another one that is semi-shadowy dark, and the third one is black, absolutely black. So my question to the whole crowd here is, what is, on this map, what is the unknown unknown?
The black tiles?
Oh, yes, exactly. What is the known unknown?
The land under the fog, I would say.
Correct. And the known known?
Well, the lighter squares, the lightest.
Yes.
Picture.
By the method of elimination, we got this right. Exactly. And this is also how we can perceive life, basically. And maybe in your case, since you're starting your journey, your map looks like this. So you have 2 tiles of known knowns, 4 tiles of known unknowns, and then vastness of let's explore this. And if life was a computer game, what is your task if the map looks like this? What's your next move?
We would
Yes.
like to discover probably the land around us.
Yes,
Discover
exactly. Hell yes. Thanks for that, because this is exactly where I was trying to point you to. And that is the new unexplored territory of life. So my goal is to take you on a tour of things I saw and tried, and I hope they would act as ideas you can use in your own journey. So I hope you are ready to embark on a journey with me, because remember this, by the end of the lecture, you will set on the path that will help you learn something about yourself. Maybe discover some unknown unknowns. And that form that I sent you, this discovery plan, is your map. So basically each answer that you give, yes or no, will act most likely yes as an X on the map. And by the end of the lecture, you have a an idea of things you want to explore and try. And then your job is to act on these axes and just, get the gold from the dragon, or experience points, or whatever you choose. For the people that did not make it on time or just joined, here is the QR code for the form for our discovery plan. So you still have a chance to just take your phone, scan the QR, and still have it on your phone, because we're going to soon start filling this out. So I'm going to give you literally 5 seconds. And I hope you have the form. Does anybody have a problem with form? Does anybody miss the form, or did anybody miss the form, our discovery plan, the link? Okie dokie. I think we can move on. Yes. And why the hell did I even bother to make a form? And what kind of ridiculous exercise are we doing right now? Well, people, there have been studies that I can actually give you sources to the studies that once you outline the plan, you're more likely to actually do something about it. So this is my way of just, whipping you towards discovery by making a contract with yourselves. And with that, let's jump into the actual adventure. First stop, dear people, on the way towards self-discovery is, and I use this on purpose. Oh yeah, first of all, Lotus metaphor. So we jump into the car, dear people, to depart on that journey. Shout out to all the people that played games on Amiga. Good old days. People, first stop on our journey, have really good command of English language. And this is why I'm taking this lecture in English, because English, and this is not my quote, but it's true, is the language of the internet, people. So if you have a good command of English language, it will broaden your possibilities, your horizons. You're going to have more resources at your disposal, and you're going to be better equipped to learn the new stuff. Let's face it, Poland is 40 million people, roughly, plus minus. So Polish internet is smaller than English-speaking internet. And another quote that I like, that I find just absolutely mind-blowing. It's hard to increase your intelligence, but it is relatively easier to improve your communication. So you might not get smarter than you are in life anymore. Sorry, this is how your brain works, but you actually can improve the way you speak. And getting good hold of English would make it easier for you. It's going to be easier also to get, a job, exist in the job, or in the field, scientific field, if you will. So, people, my first request, go to your form, to your discovery plan, to your link to Microsoft Forms, and answer the first question. Yes, I want to get good command of English language, or no, it's not really at the top of my priorities. Remember, there are no good or bad answers. This is a plan for yourself. If you think you struggle with English or you'd rather make it better, say yes. If you don't, well, say no. It's fine. We're going to have more stops on the way. Did you add the answer? Did you fill in the answer? Should we move on?
Yes.
Okie dokie. Another one, another stop, and this one is also super important in my opinion. Study/work abroad. So remember what we were doing? We were trying to discover unknown unknowns. We were trying to get rid of this black stuff, on the map. And the ultimate way to uncover black, dark stuff on the map is to actually go to those dark places, or places you haven't heard of. And if you go and work abroad, you don't experience your life as a tourist. You experience it as a person that lives there. And there are options. Student exchanges, going abroad to study your master's degree, whatnot. My experience of Denmark is it's a different beast than Polish educational system. I'm not judging, saying better or worse. I'm just saying it's different. In Denmark, there's way more emphasis on group work and collaboration than I experienced in Poland. They also put a lot of emphasis on scientific contribution. So you would be expected, for example, to write a lot of papers, do a lot of research, even if you're on the bachelor degree. You call teachers by their first name, and they're a little bit more like mentors than, like, let's say, the master and the apprentice kind of, relationship. So it's different, but you don't know it if you don't try it. So if you think you should visit other lands and explore the other lands with their educational systems or jobs, please go to forum, to the discovery plan, and say, yes, this is on my agenda. This is what I want to do in life. If you're good in Poland and you don't want to find things outside Poland, say no. It's all good. There are no right or wrong answers here. Should we move on? Did you give the answer to exploration of the planet, other lands?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. Team player. This is another stop on our journey of discovering things that might be unknowns for you. Build something together with other skilled people. Did you have any group work already? Any kind of team-based project here at your university?
No, not really. The only thing that was optionally done in groups was presentation for this class, actually.
All right. Thanks, Rafał. So I think that ultimately that is one of the most important things you should try. Build something with other people. The problem with doing group work at university is that sometimes you're assigned to a group you're not necessarily resonating with because they're not your favorite people. But if you go on the internet or find friends that do something, share a passion with you, you can build something, together, 2 or 3 people, and learn something from it. And this is like super awesome experience. Why do I bring it? Because I'm not only a programmer / Scrum Master, but I also was a DJ and a musician. And this is the biggest learning from playing in the band, actually. That was the band I was playing it quite a few years ago. We've been playing dubstep and drum and bass and all this kind of, heavy bass-driven music. What I learned from playing there is, if you're more than one person, you can build things that you would never build yourself. And that applies to a band really good because the music that you create is basically something in the middle of what all of you people in that band like. It can bite you, of course, because it's not always rosy and you're not always getting along that well with people, but it's a great learning. And on top, this is Alsense. This is this refrigerator portal, so to speak, a refrigeration management portal, I should say. And, this is industrial kind of software. It's not built with one person. It's never built with one person mind. Maybe you are a lucky dev that can make one person solo project and make living out of it. Otherwise, it's always the team. So make yourself or do yourself a favor and try to build something with people you like. And with that, I would like to invite you to the discovery plan again, to your browser, and say, yes, I want to be a team player, or no, not really, I'm cool being, on my own. So please go to the forum and answer if this way of discovering something about yourself is something you want to try. Okay, people, are you ready? Should we move on?
I think it's fine. Can move on.
Okay, thanks, Shimon, for keeping the group going. People, if you need more time, just yell at me. I'm gonna, slow down. Another stop on our discovery of things is teaching. Did anybody try teaching? Who tried teaching?
I have explained to a bunch of people some stuff regarding maths before, but not sure if that applies.
Sure it does. How was the experience?
Well, it's sort of tough to convey your thoughts in a way that it makes sense to other people, but they, I guess they appreciated my, no.
Oh yeah, I do share the same thing. And we had Christian. Was it Christian that raised your hand? Christian, was it also something that you did teaching?
Yeah, I did, but not like regarding informatics or anything like that. I'm a windsurfing instructor actually, and yeah, when I work, I teach mostly.
Do you find it easy or tough?
At first, it was really tough, but then it gets better, I think. Yeah, but still, I can see some things that I could improve.
Oh yeah, thanks, Christian. That's also a very. We had two very important thoughts here. So what Christian has said, improving as you go, getting better with practice, but B also, Shimon, you said that it's hard to convey your thoughts sometimes. So it's funny that sometimes you think you understand something, but once you talk about it, it's like, ugh, stuff. So this is a great way to actually understand things. And this is not my thought. I took it, I copy-pasted this from Twitter, from Andrej Karpathy, director of AI at Tesla. And if Andrej is director of AI at Tesla, he might know a few things about the world. And he said, how to become an expert at a thing. Iteratively take on concrete projects, teach, summarize everything, and only compare yourself to younger you, never to others. And this is what I discovered as well. I had a privilege of creating a video course about React. And that helped me a lot. Not maybe with React itself, but the way I think about how data travels in React, how do we manage things, how we write easy to understand code, how do we put things in modules, blah, 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 things like that. And the interesting bit is that this company called Video Point is part of Helion Group. And when I was 7 and 8, I loved to go to bookstores and buy all those books about like Micromedia Flash, PHP, and all that. And they were all done by Helion. And it was a great, great rewarding experience to kind of make full circle and create some content yourself or myself for Helion. People liked it, resonated with it, so I found it a good experience. So my question to you, dear people, is, are you willing to embark on this journey of teaching? Please go to your forms and check. Yes, I want to teach. And then we'll see what could that be. Or now teaching is not for me, it's fine. While you're doing this, I'm going to show you one more thing here, doing versus supporting. If you're a doer, then you're a programmer and you're actually delivering code that does the job. But there are also supporting roles, especially in big industrious kind of setups, like a Scrum Master, for example. Scrum Master is the person that's supposed to support developers, and with that support often comes teaching. So if you're considering any job like that of a supporter role, teaching is essential. Are you ready with answering if you want to be a teacher or not, or if you want to try teaching this year or next year in your adventure plan? Did we move on? Rafael is nodding. That's a sign that we should, probably. Shimon, yes? Are we ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, perfect. Sorry to just put you on the spot, but I saw that the microphone of muted microphone just blinked, so I thought you were going to say something. People, next one. I love this one. This is not a typical one. Be an artist. And I really like this one because being an artist is easy when you have computers. Because you can explore audio, video, multimedia, VR, AR, and all that. And if you don't know how to draw, well, it's easy. You can tell your computer to draw something for you. And I tried to marry this idea with this is my master thesis project, so to speak, when I did some kind of 3D semi-reactive or reactive 3D models that did stuff. And I even wrote some theory on top of that. It didn't get too bad of a mark. And I think that programming is not only about manipulating, databases on that. You can do cool stuff with it, and just played some crazy music on top of that, and it did do some kind of funny stuff. And I think that, I have friends that do actually live out of art, digital art, so to speak. I have one friend that's using C++ to do interactive data visualization. He has the whole company, he lives in London, and he enjoys it. And I have another one in Warsaw who's having this artistic group where they do some kind of physical and digital projects. And they even had one of their exhibits was presented in Expo 2020, Polish Pavilion. So you can do it, and it's cool. So yeah, you don't need to know how to make music, just tell your computer to do it. So go back to the form, please, to your adventure plan, and mark if you want to be or try the art way, the artsy way, if you want to mess around with pixels on your screen or sound waves in the air. Please go to forum and say yes or no, this resonates with you. It could be free exploration. It doesn't need to be anything serious. Should we move on, people? Are we ready? I'm ready when you're ready.
I think we're ready.
Thank you, Shimon. That feedback helps. Even if we're talking to circles with initials for most of the people, unless you're Rafael. Thank you, Rafael, again. No pressure, people, for a camera, but it will be cool. Next stop here. And the screen here, or the picture, comes from Contra game. Whoever played Nintendo Entertainment System, or in Poland, we had a ripoff called Pegasus. There was a game like this. I really enjoyed it. Who tried to make a game? Ooh, okay, can you tell us more?
Well, I tried to make a game where you basically walk around in a room and try to interact with stuff. I won't tell the entire concept of the game, what the game was supposed to be like. I'll just say that I didn't work with any game engine at the time, and it was tough, way tougher than I initially had thought.
Hell yeah. All right, thanks.
It was a fun experience nonetheless.
Yes, I do appreciate your thoughts here. I would second that opinion. I've seen also Olga and Hubert raising your hands. Olga, do you want to still say something about your experience with game dev?
Yeah, I've been making games for a few years.
Nice. So how was the experience?
It was fun.
Okay. Any engine that you're using? Are you doing everything from scratch?
I use Roblox.
Okay. Cool. And Hubert, you also seem to have some experience with game dev.
I mean, I tried it really long time ago. I don't really remember how it turned out and what I've been doing, but I remember I've been doing it.
See, that is cool about game dev, that you don't really forget the experience. And the funny thing, when I looked for a game that I was working on, there's this website called Moby Games. I know it's like some kind of an encyclopedia, and I'm even credited as this time as a sound designer, because as you know, I'm doing music, so I'm doing sometimes programming, sometimes I'm doing sound. And we did this game called Karen and the Hidden Lake. And that was part of the game jam long time ago across universities. We've been actually, oh, Rafa, sorry, you also tried game dev, did you?
Well, in a different way. I'm working on a card game that is more like tabletop, but I am interested in doing also programming in the game dev territory.
Sweet, thanks for sharing that. Yes, sometimes it's just 3D, sometimes it's 2D, sometimes it's text, right? So and sometimes VR. So in our case, it was 3D, and thanks, Rafał, for making that remark. In our case, it was 3D. That was a game jam between different universities. So they would collect specialists from different universities. That was really cool. They got 3D people from like Arts Academy. They got programmers from, technical universities. They got sound engineers like me from this mediology program and so on. We had a proper director of the game. It was really, really cool. But I learned a couple of things. One, crunch time. Who knows what crunch time is in game dev?
That's a real fun time.
Can you say more, Hubert, about it?
Real fun time when the developers don't get free time. They sleep at the place that they work. Yeah, and their psyche gets destroyed by that.
True. Olga, do you resonate with the concept of crunch time? Did you experience this in your game development career or during your development career?
I can say I did, but I'm self-employed, I can say, so it wasn't that bad.
All right. Cool, thanks. We had a crunch time with this game for sure. Last 2 days were just tough because we had a month to develop it, so it was really short. But it was cool to have this interaction, multiple people from different disciplines in one room doing cool things. So it's a very rewarding experience, but as Hubert mentioned, it might destroy your mind at some point if you do it, in a way that strains your body into a way that you cannot handle it. So be reasonable, game devs. Please go to the forum, people. And if you haven't tried the game dev thing, please add this to your adventure plan. Maybe this is something you want to try in 2022, 2023. If you tried it, feel free to say yes still, or maybe you have too much of it, then say no. So we are on the question regarding game dev in our adventure plan, in case you didn't get the memo. Should we move on?
Yes.
Thank you, Shimon. You are the man. Next stop on our self-discovery adventure, try professional web development. Who tried professional web development? And by professional, I mean web development for money. Hubert, okay. What was the experience?
It was recent. I tried doing it in an academic year. It wasn't easy per se, and also I got bored really quick because of the project that I was doing. It just didn't click with me.
Okay, thanks, Hubert, for that. I want to share a story from my professional web development career. I had a luck of joining marketing agency, actually. So I didn't join a software house or would hammer out web apps, and just like interface only elements, but I was working in a marketing agency that did projects and small campaign websites for the biggest customer in Denmark, and also international ones like, Dettol probably was pretty popular like last 2 years. Wonder why. But also Bosch, everybody knows Bosch, of course. But the cool thing about the professional development in this setting, particular of marketing agency, is that, and if you have a chance, try it. You are the guy or the gal to bridge a creative concept from a person that shows up with this idea and the client. And you need to find out a solution that would work for that particular campaign. It could be a game, it could be a simple website, could be some multimedia kind of experience, and so on and so forth. And this will teach you, especially in marketing agencies, something about branding, something about working with clients, something about working with deadlines, something about knowing what clients want and need and what they don't. And web is the cheapest way to try stuff. So you should definitely give it a shot. And it's a good way to make money, actually, side money, pocket money, if you are, doing small projects. So if you are interested in web development, professional web development, I'm not talking about making a website for, your dog, but like something for money, please go back to the form and say yes. And if you are not really a web dev person, say no. And I'm not saying I'm going to get you a job for, for money for web dev, but I can definitely get you some kind of pointers where you could look or what you could do. But of course, the action is always on you. Please go to the form, say yes, no, if you are willing to go through the web dev path. Are we ready? And this time the rule is Shimon cannot say yes. We need somebody else saying yes, because Shimon you are pulling the whole cart. I do appreciate it. I want to see if other people are alive as well. Are we ready, people, to move on?
Sure.
That wasn't very convincing, but I'm gonna go with that one. If you need coffee, let me know. But thank you for saying that. I don't know who said this, but I do appreciate that other people are actually also with us on Be a Maker, people. This is another stop on our journey. Bridge digital and physical. Again, you might think coding is just your code editor. No, it is not, dear people. It is stuff you can do that you can touch. This is, again, my old university stuff. We did this game that projected a frisbee on the screen. So you throw physical objects on the screen, and then you would shoot people with those objects that become digital. And it's a reverse first-person shooter, because instead of killing people, you make them happy. We called this game Smiley Toss, and it was actually based on detecting of vibrations, the sound, and this is how we would approximate the place where frisbee would hit the surface. That was done in C++, and there was a Unity engine on top. Cool stuff. We also did this. This is me playing virtual drums. So as you can see, I have some physical controllers that would detect motion and hit areas for different drums, and you could try to play it. And this was our project to verify if we could use this in the kindergarten setup. So if kids could actually engage in this without having to buy the whole drumming equipment. And we actually went to kindergarten to try it, and that was chaos. And we wrote the whole report about it. It was fun. Did anybody else try some Arduino programming or any kind of physical development? Well, people, this board here, let me just go back. This board is cheap, and you can do fun stuff with it. So please go to your form, to your adventure plan, and mark, yes, I want to be a maker. I want to bridge digital and physical. Or say, no, physical stuff is not for me. Because caveat is, yes, you can burn things with this. Arduino tries to prevent you from doing this, but you can burn stuff. So yeah. Are you ready to move on? Did you give an answer to the question of if you want to be a maker?
I have.
Perfect. Thank you, Shimon. Can we hear from one more person if we're ready to move on?
Let's go.
Let's go then.
Woohoo! Thank you. So next stop on the self-discovery journey, and my presentation died for 3 seconds. Be a scientist. Did anybody read a scientific paper already? Or has anybody read a scientific paper already? And I'm talking about this, Okay, Shimon, yes?
I mean, I have read or at least skimmed through like a bunch, but I don't know if it counts because I don't really remember most of them. I was just like, trying to get some knowledge in like mathematics because it's like it interested me at the time.
Right. Thanks, Shimon. Yes, by scientific papers, we mean those, PDFs with 2 columns formatted with LaTeX or any other ancient markup language, PostScript, whatnot. I don't know even what that is, but very specific way of publishing certain data and certain findings. I have whole 1 citation with my master thesis, so definitely I know what I'm talking about, right? But yes, it's there, in the world. And one person thought, yes, I'm going to cite this guy and just use his data in my research. But I'm saying this because this is a very particular branch of your activity. And arguably, if you go to university and study and try to get master's degree, this is what you're supposed to be doing. University is not really a place to find a job. It's a place to make science, basically. But you don't know if it's for you unless you start reading those scientific papers. And Szymon said that it was hard to go through. As a beginner stuff, not that I'm not very knowledgeable about it, but I remember that often Claude Shannon's master thesis about information theory is said to be really, really, really good paper to start with. Alan Turing did some writing. I don't know how digestible Alan Turing's writing is. I have not read it yet, but it's on my to-do list for sure. But I would say if you want to be a scientist, just go and say yes or no into the form. And it's not about asking you if you want to make experiments. It's more like, do you want to start reading scientific papers? That is the question. Do you want to make this part of your daily habit to figure out if this is even for you? Because if you cannot stand scientific papers, well, this is bread and butter of scientific, world. Just add your answer and let's move on. Are you ready, people? Perfect. All right. I've got 4 to close off, and they're shorter than the previous ones. Understand the job market. Get a job. That is something I learned in Denmark. In Denmark, they have this thing called student helper. It's very popular in different industries that they hire students for 12 hours a week. And this is a perfect opportunity to find out if a given job is for you. The entry level is low, and leaving it is also low, meaning that the exit criteria of leaving it are low. You just say, well, it's not for me, and you're like out. Of course, you have the whole contract and so on. You might need to stick out for a few weeks, but there's no cost related to leaving the job. And how else will you know if you like a given job or not? Hubert, was it you that mentioned that you tried this professional web dev?
Yes, it was me.
Yeah. So did this job experience help you understand what, like, for example, the job market is about?
Not really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was this project was a specific thing, like a niche, specific thing that you would do, and in a specific technology. Right.
Okay. Well, it doesn't always work. It's not like a recipe to understand the whole world. Maybe we can ask other people. Do you have any job-related experience already? Did you do some coding for money or any kind of IT-related stuff for money? Or could be anything, actually. But let's maybe focus on it.
I have coded a script that filled out an Excel form, a couple, like tens of thousands of lines. It was pretty useful for whoever I made it for, but yeah.
Did it help you discover if you would like to do this 8 hours a day or not, this kind of job?
Well, by 8 hours a day, do you mean like actual systematic coding 8 hours a day? Yes. From like 9 to 5 p.m. Because I worked more like in like the outbursts of energy I had throughout the day. I didn't really have a schedule, but I guess if I were to code for 8 hours straight, that would be fine.
And from what you say, it sounds like you also have now a way to discover maybe what is your working preference, because who knows, you don't need to have 8 to 5 job, right? You can have a product and get rich in a month, or you can just do freelance and work at nights. It doesn't matter, if it works for you. But definitely getting some kind of a job experience opens your eyes. And in order to do it, I usually advise people to find your value proposition. And I find it way easier to talk with people if they come to me and say, I can do X, Y, and Z. I can do JavaScript, React work. I can do data science in Python. I can do database administration, because then we can actually align on and find something we can work on. And if people come to me and say, like, what should I work on? I'm like, I don't know what you're good at. So what is your value proposition? Think about it. And if you don't have a value proposition right now, would be a good time to create one, to think, what am I good at? And maybe I can sell it somehow and get, some pocket money to move on with my life. So if you want to define this value proposition and understand the job market, please go to your adventure plan. Say, yes, this is actually high on my priority list. I want to get a job. I want to learn about the market. Or you are like, not really. I'm not looking for a job. Now I just want to do other things.
Yeah, basically, if we want to work as programmers, yes?
Or, yeah, in a way, if it is important for you in this year, next year, right? Not in life, but in next year or this year.
All right.
If you want to explore this concept. Okay, people, moving on to fun stuff. This is my personal picks here. Well, all of them are my personal picks, but this one I particularly like. Try niche programming languages. I like this one. Speaking of functional programming and all that, I like to explore languages that wouldn't get me really a job, but I like them because they teach me things. So I tried Elm. Has anybody heard of Elm? It's Haskell, simpler Haskell-like language for web that compiles to JavaScript. And another one is called Scheme. And Scheme is, Racket. And Racket is descendant of Scheme or Lisp-like languages. Who has heard of Lisp? Hubert, yes. Can you tell us, and Jack, maybe I'm going to ask consumer. I'm going to ask Jack because Jack didn't have a chance to speak that much. Jack, can you say a few words about Lisp? Doesn't need to be anything in particular, but what does this bring to your mind when you hear it?
Well, Lisp machines and the work Stallman did in MIT related to them. Also, Emacs has I think it's uses Lisp to configure it.
That is correct. And McCarthy's job from the 60s, this is a language that comes from 60s actually, and it's like mind-blowing because and Racket is modern version of Lisp or Scheme. And they had, for example, things like anonymous functions, lambdas, and passing functions as arguments to other functions. And you're like, duh, in JavaScript, this is just like bread and butter. But I'm talking about 60s, and they figured this out. And when you experience this first time from a programming language, it opens up a lot. Has anybody tried React.js and web programming in React.js? Hubert did. Hubert, did you heard of Redux for state management?
Yes, but I didn't really dab into state management because even in the Redux documentation, there's written that don't try to use Redux if you don't really have to use Redux, because it will bring more problems than solve the problems that you got on hand.
That is true. That is so true. That being said, Redux is very popular state management library for React. And guess what inspired Dan Avramov, I think, is the original creator. Elm. Actually, he tried Elm and Elm architecture, and state management in Elm is very, very similar to Redux. They are talking about immutable data structures, pure functions, and things like that. So, you don't need to go in JavaScript world and do some magic to make things immutable. You can just go to Elm and you get it firsthand. So it is pretty cool. So I would like to go back to the adventure plan. People, please jump in and say, yes, I want to try a niche programming language. It doesn't need to be these two, could be any. Or you're like, nah, I'd rather focus on programming in more mainstream stuff because this is where the money is, for example. Should we move on?
Yep.
Okie dokie. Two final stops on our adventure through the unexpected, unknown territories of universe. Build state-of-the-art software engineering pipeline team. Sorry, I called you team. People. Team I use for my work stuff, and this is what I sometimes default. But could be my team for the need of this lecture. Why not? Why not? People, this is important. Like the times where you coded something on your computer, compiled and put it on a floppy disk or CD-ROM are over. We don't do this anymore. We don't put things on floppy disks. We put something into version control system. We do some pre-commit hooks. This stuff is pushed to the internet, the cloud, and then all kinds of magic is happening there. Some static code analysis, some build, some release, blah, blah, blah. And then it ends up on the server, for example, in case of web programming. Anyway, there is no reasonable place on this planet that makes professional software development that is not using some kind of a build pipeline. Could be Jenkins, but these days more like GitHub Actions or Azure pipelines. And when I talk with other developers, if they don't know pipelines or don't know how to set up pipelines, it's a big red flag for me, because this is essential and you don't need to be a master in it, but you need to know how to set it up. So my recommendation is you should build a state-of-the-art setup project in GitHub with all the beautiful git commit hooks, pre-commit hooks, with the beautiful Azure pipelines or GitHub Actions pipeline, with beautiful unit tests, with some kind of a release mechanism, and maybe some end-to-end automated tests. So you build the whole thing, because then when you look for a job, you say, well, check this out, it's on GitHub. I can build the whole end-to-end project, and it's automated and nice and has all the bells and whistles. Did anybody try GitHub Actions or Azure Pipelines Action? Hubert did. How is YAML pipelines for you? Do you like it, Hubert, or are you like, it's terrible?
I mean, for me, it's weird with YAML because I don't really understand it. I just use it for making the GitHub Actions and the GitHub Actions thing, and it was only for like testing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really what's it called? I did a production thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just dubbing it.
Yeah. But this is exactly what I'm talking about. Like if you take it to the next level and do end-to-end, full-blown thing, it will teach you stuff, and it will help you also show off afterwards that you can actually work with it and you know how to build software that you are fully, what's it called, sure of. You can guarantee that it's going to work because you have all that nice stuff. Try open source, people. Oh yeah, sorry, fill out. Please go back to your beautiful, what's called, adventure plan. And please say if you want to build the end-to-end pipeline, or if pipelines are not your thing. And to finish things off, try open source. This is a big one. I, for example, like Firefox. It's my favorite browser since version 1.0. For real. I'm with them since version 1.0. I believe in the vision, it's awesome. At the top, you can see the screenshot of a repo from Firefox DevTools. They moved it out of GitHub, so it's not there anymore. But the point still is, and the history remains, that like I put some commits there and contributed, which A, is fun, but B, what is most important, and why I'm bringing this up, is that if you look to the right, there is this comment from one of the gentlemen who's running this whole thing. He's saying, "This is looking great, Jakub. Thanks for your help. I have a PR for another repository. I find it a bit more succinct, blah, blah, blah." It's not important what he's talking about. The most important thing is that it reminds me of like real job related conversations. So if you master this kind of collaboration in GitHub, it means that you have already a good experience in the job related, market, so to speak, because you know how to collaborate with people in the code base. Who has pushed some kind of commits towards open source projects, people? Do we have anybody in the open source, from the open source community? Then maybe this is something worth considering. If you go back to your action plan, you can say, yes, I want to try open source, or no, open source is something I believe in. Then we can think about the plan, how to get there, or you can think about the plan. Okay, people. Did you build your map? You don't need to send the form yet. Please don't send the form yet. But just the question, do you feel like you have some kind of a map created with those points? Mentally, of course.
I'm not sure. It more looks to me like a bunch of like scrambled thoughts. That yeah, it will make sense at some point, but
Yeah,
not
good
in
point.
this particular moment.
Good point. It's definitely, you need to refine it. Now it's just wishful thinking, right? But I would like now to ask our dear host, Dr. Jakub, to bring the breakout rooms. And I want to divide you in groups of 4 or 3 or 2. I don't know what teams will give us. But the point is, let's use literally 5 minutes. Let's use 5 minutes and just talk about the experience with the rest of the people in that particular breakout room. And say, what did you choose? What resonated with you the most? And what do you think you were going to try? Let's move on then. So we had a chat. The last 2 things I wanted to talk about is the skills mixer, dear people. This is something I use in my life, and this is something I'm trying also maybe to inspire you to do. So if you're exploring some of those things, categories, ideas that we went through, then you can use this skills mixer, one arm bandit kind of, setup where you have different things and you just randomize and try to combine them. So in my case, for example, I tried combining programming and my music performance experience, and I got to an agile coaching job because it's a job that requires some technical experience, but also working with people. I mixed my React knowledge and teaching passion, so to speak, and I published a video course. So, there was another draw that just gave me some kind of result. And the last one that I just tried to randomize was my experience working with groups of people at work and my stage experience, again, from musical experience, and that gave me an opportunity to become a facilitator and working with people, guiding them through certain problem-solving setups. So think about what you know in terms of the skills mixer, what you will draw. And it's cool if those things are from different areas, so they are unique. But all of this is, people, to keep your inner nerd well fed, because this is the only way, I think. If you want to keep going in industry, you need to love it, because if there's no love, there's burnout. So if you keep your inner nerd well fed with all those interesting things that we talked about, and maybe some new ones that you bring, you're going to be a happy unicorn, hopefully. My job opportunity finding recipe, if you're looking for a job or anything particular that you want to bring value, is find an interesting topic that you would like to nerd about, find people who need that knowledge, bring them some value, and go to line 1. So it all starts with passion and nerding out about stuff. So back to my offer, people. Remember, this is something you can also select in your adventure plan. Project with Danfoss is something I can get you if I can see that you'll be fired about and that you would like to try. And that could be anything, as I said. I can just get you an interview with a person, and the person can tell you what the job is about and answer your questions just for information, or we can actually do some hands-on activity from 1 day to 1 week, you decide. I can offer also personal coaching. So once you have this map that you outlined, now these are just ideas. So I can help you actually figure out how to approach them and ask you what is the most important thing for you, and so on and so forth. If there's more people that want to participate in this, we can also do some group work. Remember to select in the adventure plan what you're interested in, because if you're interested in, for example, personal coaching, I can get back to you and we can talk about this. Last but not least, we talked about known knowns, known unknowns, and unknown unknowns. So the idea was to move on this map of life and find out what are knowns, unknowns, and unknowns unknowns, and discover something, because this is where you start. And the question is, where would you... Yes, Anton, you have a question.
Sure. I want to ask, can you give something like your email or contact information, maybe?
If you send me the form, I will then reply to you. That one's going to be the easiest, I think. Would that be okay? Or are you having problems with sending the form?
No problems.
And if you want to talk to me personally, I can stay on the on this channel also, so we can just ask me a question right afterwards.
Not really now, maybe like in the future.
Okay, then send me send the form with your email and I'll get back to you. And there is going to be a feedback section also where you can say, you know, what you need and I can help people. And there is a feedback time, people. We are run short on time, so I will ask everybody in your adventure plan, write your feedback before you send it. Write me what you liked, but also what you were missing. And then the most important thing is send it, but also download your answers and keep them because those answers are your plan. Does it make sense when it comes to sending and downloading the answers?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Anton, would that work for you as well?
Yeah, I think I sent my form.
Perfect. People, the final word is by the end of the lecture, we'll set on the path that will help you learn something about yourself if you decide to follow on top or follow on any of these actions. Otherwise, thank you